Hello and welcome to Jrock's Babylon. I am your host, Jason Jrock Houston, and our guest for today is Bobby Jensen, the lead singer from the Dead Cowboys. Now, how you doing today, Bobby?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking.
I love the. Is that a real Marshall amp behind you? Big fan of those Marshall amps.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's for the pedal steel.
Oh, okay. I got to tell you, the way I heard out about your band is your publicist, Michael Brandville, sent me a press release on the band, and he's given me a lot of great interviews over years. But I bring that up because I wasn't too familiar with the band. And so, in prepping for the interview today, I went in on the YouTube channel, and I was quite impressed with the videos I seen. I urge people to go and check out your collection of music videos. But what really caught my eye was the images and the videos. Now, I wanted to ask about that. I don't know, do you consider that like your alter ego, persona? How would you describe that?
You know, I think that the artwork is awesome. It was done by Andy Pinkleton. He does the lyric videos for Judas Priest and Alice Cooper and just everybody in the metal scene, and they're over in London. And I got a hold of him and asked him if he would do the one for Bad Friends and Good Times. And that just turned out so great. I told him, listen to the song and go with the illustrations that come to your mind as an artist.
Yeah,
So
I think
that's
that's my favorite song of yours so far. Immediately watching the video and listening to the words, especially the lyric video, and listening to the specific words. I mean, very kind of theatrical rock influence. I mean, I very thought much of very like Alice Cooper influence. So I do hear that. Maybe some Kiss, some Motley Crue, I don't know, but those are bands I grew up on, and it really it did give me kind of that sound. Now, what's interesting is I go listen to some other songs that we're going to talk about, and some other songs do not sound exactly kind of have that same feel. A lot of them have more of a country vibe or even southern rock feel. So, talk a little bit about that because the sound's kind of
well,
all over the place, and I love it.
well, a lot of people ask me like what is the band, kind of what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
And so I just took all of my influences growing up, and that was like, if I put Smokey and the Bandit, Convoy, the Dukes of Hazzard, Evil Knievel, Kiss, and Waylon Jennings all in a blender. I think that's what happened,
Yeah,
because
yeah, that's a great description. I love that, and you also mentioned some of the not so obvious influences, and what I'm talking about, like, is, and I get it now, like talking, like Smoking the Bandit, Dukes of Hazzard. I love that you kind of mix that all up in there.
yeah, it's people who grew up watching that, I think, will get it,
Yeah,
because I can't really say that this is completely a 100% heavy metal
yeah,
product. If you listen to the song Demon Desperado, that's a song that Iron Maiden could probably do.
sure, sure.
But then you listen to something like Super Country Cowboy, and that's probably more of your country feel thing. But again, it all goes into us kids who all grew up on dirt bikes in the 70s and the 80s, listening to Kiss, and again watching Evil Knievel and that type of stuff. Because when you're driving down the road and you're listening to your rock station and you got Zeppelin cranked, and then all of a sudden Devil Went Down to Georgia came on, or Eastbound and Down, nobody really turns that off. And you don't have to be a country fan to
No, no,
dig Eastbound and Down, because you're going, hell yeah, Smokey and the Bandit,
yeah, yeah.
so that's what this is about. It's more of the lifestyle than it is about any genre. I think a lot of it has to do with how I grew up. My neighbor's house was a lot like the movie Mask with Eric Stoltz, and Cher with all the
Yeah,
bikers
yeah.
and stuff like that. So I grew up on a 77 Shovelhead and listening to country rock, country, and Ted Nugent, Aerosmith, and Kiss
Yeah.
growing up, and we played in the dirt. And so I thought, well, when I write this album, that's what I'm going to bring into it. Plus, I
I,
love big trucks.
Sure, sure. Wow. Yeah, monster truck. I could see like kind of some of this music, being used for a sporting event like that. That would be pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, and then like When the Cows Come Home, I wrote that with my friend Merle. Merle actually wrote most of it. that song really reminds me of a new version of like Convoy or something. There hasn't been a cool trucking tune since Convoy or Eastbound and Down, and he threw me the original demo, and then I took it and made it what it is, because we love the big semi trucks and
Sure.
truck stops and lot lizards and good times,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, you come from a different place, obviously. So being influenced by all that, like, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Minneapolis, but my dad was a country mouse. He grew up in the hills of Tennessee, and my mom was from uptown in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
So I've really got a cross contamination of, Southern Bull and,
Yeah,
you know,
I think although I do hear some of these influences you've been talking about throughout the music, what I dig about the sound of your band is it's not just one sound, like you said, and that I think that's what keeps it fresh for people that check your music out. Because I know another great example of that is I love the song Wild Heart. Now before I even played the song, I'm going through your YouTube channel. Oh, Wild Heart. Okay, that's probably going to be kind of like a heavy, crazy ass tune. Now, quite the contrary. It's very much, I would say, Johnny Cash influenced. Kind of got that.
well, I think you're looking at the wrong Dead Cowboys band.
Oh, really? Okay. I'm sorry
Yeah.
about that. I'm sorry about
Yeah,
that.
there's a few, like a lot of bands, and when they're starting out, there's a lot that share the same name. But I own the trademark of the name since 2005 when I originally had the Dead Cowboys. Our songs are Mexico, Demon Desperado, When the Cows Come Home,
Okay,
Crazy
because I did
Horses.
the two I did really like that you already claimed are Super Country Cowboy and Bad Friends and Good Times. And just those two songs, like you're saying, kind of shows the two kind of sides of the band, if you will. I
Yeah,
mean, very much like the Eagles. They've been described as everything from country rock, classic rock. I mean, they got a song like "Take It Easy," and then they got to do something which is much closer to about like "Take It to the Limit." So
yeah,
again, I think it just widens the door open for different people to check the band out.
right. Well, I use that same kind of comparison, but I use Led Zeppelin. So,
Okay.
like you hear Immigrant Song or rock and roll, you're thinking one band, but then you hear Going to California,
Uh, yeah.
and it's like that's what I wanted to have, where if there were going to be boundaries, they were going to be way spread apart. So,
Yeah.
it wasn't just going to be one fluid type of stuff where all of a sudden the songs start to sound the same on the record. It's each one, is a different room in the same house.
Oh, sure, sure. That's why I always loved bands like Kiss. They had more than one guy that sang in the band. Each guy kind of had his own unique sound. The songs are different. And then with Kiss too, you had kind of a theatrical thing going. So back in the '70s, they used to, when I was growing up, they call that like sound and vision. Bands that okay, we got the song is equally as important as how we look. We want to look
Right.
like rock stars. We want to sound like rock stars.
Well, and people when they come to see your show are paying to see rock stars, whether the band wants to agree on that or not. And the fact is this, in the studio, we're musicians, but the second you step on stage, you're an entertainer and people listen with their eyes. So if you're not giving them something to watch, they're going to get bored quick, especially in today's 3 second, generation where within 3 seconds they're on to the next thing. So, you go to our YouTube channel and watch these videos, hit the shorts. You'll see the show with our 10-foot tall monster that comes on stage for Demon Desperado and all that good stuff. You can see all the different things that we've actually got going during the show.
Yeah, and so like I said, I was prepping for today's interview, and I was checking out some of the other things that I've seen online about the band. Now, I did see one band that they called themselves the Dead Cowboys. Is that it? That's probably another band, right?
Well, we're the Dead Cowboys,
Okay, the
and
Dead Cowboys.
yeah, and there's one cover band out of Colorado that uses a Z, and all of them are going to get nice letters from the attorney about the cease and desist and
Yeah,
trademark use.
yeah.
But that's just the business. I've got those letters in the
You
past
got
for
to
other
protect
things I've
yourself,
done.
man. And I
Yeah,
mean, that's why I'm trying to help clear the air here because it was, mistakenly, like when I'm checking this stuff out, yeah, I apparently came across, the other band, and we don't want to do that because you're quite impressive with your own original music, and I think the imaging is a big thing that people like about the band. I mean, again, talking about like a band like Kiss or even Alice Cooper, those images, kind of are a big part of your band. People go and they watch those videos. Oh, these videos look really, really cool, man. Is that, is that the band's like kind of alter ego, the persona? And the reason I ask is, again, if people watch these videos and they expect to see the band play live and you're going to be dressed up like that, it's not really what you're getting here. But I still love kind of that aspect of what you guys are doing. You're offering cool looking videos and come and see the band, and we're gonna, knock your socks off.
Yeah. Well, we dress how we dress because it's not a costume to us. It's our way of life. It's who I am. So I go up there and I do what I do.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know
yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean?
No,
So it's
no,
not like, hey, let's all wear cowboy hats and cowboy costumes. That would be fake and it'd be
yeah,
bullshit and people can see through that. I grabbed people to be in this group who were naturally already there. They're,
yeah,
the birds of a feather thing.
yeah.
So
Let me
that's
ask about the imaging in some of the music videos. Like, I don't know, is that computer generated? Is it AI? Is it any of it animation?
He does a lot of it just by drawing the stills. They're actually hand drawn
Uh,
illustrations. And the same with the album. I came up with the original artwork for the album. And then the girl who does Alice Cooper and the Hollywood Vampires, she took it and like drew it up so it could be bigger and whatever. Because the artwork that I did was pretty small. So when we blew it up, it got pixelated. But she did all the artwork, and her name is Melanie Watts, and
okay.
like I said, she does a lot of the Crossbones Scully and Alice Cooper stuff, and she did the album cover and the back cover, and everybody is just hands-on artwork. There really isn't any AI with what we're doing
Okay.
for
Well,
the for the actual product art.
that's why I asked you. It's very impressive, and that's what a lot of people are talking about, the artwork. And I grew up in a time where people will laugh when I say this, but I'm still a fan of holding a physical CD or vinyl in my hand. I mean, back in the day, it was beautiful artwork. You could like I remember seeing Iron Maiden's Number of the Beast the very first time. I was maybe 10 years old at the time, and I don't know what the hell this is, but it looks cool. I have to get it.
Right. Right. Well, that's exactly what I come from. So it was walking through the record store, finding a cool album cover, buying it, taking it home, and hoping that the music is just as cool. And I did that with Number of the Beast and Peace of Mind, and it was like, holy shit, yeah. Or you look at Kiss's Destroyer album, or even the real photos of Alive 2. You see Gene Simmons on the back of Alive 2.
Oh,
You're,
sure.
you're
It's
probably going to buy that record.
sweaty mouth. Yeah, and it's like back, him between him and breathing fire and sticking out his tongue. He was always my favorite member of Kiss.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
real showman. And so, have you played much? Have you played live much outside of your local area?
No, no, we're just doing a few shows right now that are kind of close to home, and then we're working on a tour for next year to come out and starting in March. So
So you want to let people know how they can get a hold of your album if they'd like to do that?
yeah, yeah, just go to the deadcowboysband.com or deadcowboysofficial.com and you can pick it up there. We got a
Great. That's
good store for that, and find us online. And if you're not sure you're finding the real guy, look for Bobby Jensen on Facebook and I'll get you there. So
so. Bobby, is this primarily your project, or like the guys that play with you live in the band are the same guys that play on the album?
there are a couple people. I originally went in and did this whole album by myself.
Okay.
So I hadn't put the band together at the time. So when I was in the studio, I was actually producing an album for an Alice Cooper tribute thing and for his nonprofit, the Solid
Okay.
Rock Teen Centers. And we had some downtime and I started just recording some of the songs you hear. I recorded Bad Friends and Good Times and laid that down. And then we talked to a drummer to do it who happens to be the drummer on this album. and the drummer in the band, that's Brian Reidinger. And Matt Leonetti, who's in the band, did the keyboards, but none of those people were in the band at the time. So I put the band together when it was all done, and it just kind of worked out on its own that way.
And that's a way a lot of people are doing it these days. You know, you got your own home studio. It's financially makes sense to do it that way.
Yeah. Well,
And
I wasn't in a home studio, but I was downtown Minneapolis in a big money studio doing
oh
this. But
wow, well,
it's kind of a home studio if you live there.
yeah,
You're
yeah, yeah. I
spending
guess
all your time.
it's
It's
all
a
about
pretty expensive
perspective.
home studio. That's multi-million-dollar facility, but it's all good nonetheless. So,
That's pretty impressive. Now, so what? I mean, what was it like for you being the guy that pretty much did all the instrumentation?
well, it wasn't anything out of the ordinary as far as me sitting around when I do use the home studio. So putting the bass tracks down or something like that. And I had some of my friends in Nashville play on it, and I'd send them the track and let them lay something down because I think things need the human touch of different humans
Sure, sure.
to really give it a feel. I can play everything on it, and I did for the most part, but then I had my friends come in and put their touches on it. Like we erased my bass track and put theirs on it because they get a different feel, and everybody plays a little different, and you want that. I think it becomes kind of stale if you hear the same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, see,
So
you know, it's funny you say that because you're talking to a guy who, as much as I love music, I'm not a musician myself. So I think maybe because you're a musician, you got that ear, you can tell maybe a little better than a guy like me. I just might put on the record and oh, this kicks ass. It's cool. But and again, there's the fact that you did a lot of instrumentation, but that's always impressed me. Guys that can play more than one instrument. Maybe it's because I can't play a lick of music, but I was kind of curious. Did you start out like on the guitar as a singer? Is there one instrument that you'd say this is kind of the instrument that I feel that I mastered?
well, on all of them, I think that I have learned one thing over time, and that's my limitations.
Okay.
I'm not an Eddie Van Halen type solo guy, so I don't try to be that. I'm more of a rhythm player. Uh, when I was young, I started on the drums. I started on pots and pans, like every little kid who
Yeah.
goes crazy in the kitchen with a couple spoons and some pots and pans. And then I went to drums, and that became something my parents didn't want to hear. So I wound up getting a bass guitar, which really taught me job security.
Yeah. Yeah.
That that if you have a bass and can't play like me at the time, I was in any band I wanted to be because everybody needs a bass player.
Sure.
So it's like,
Sure. Yeah.
all right. And girls don't know the difference between a bass guitar or a regular guitar, usually at the age of 13 and 14. So you're just as cool as the guy who can really play. As long as you stand
Yeah.
next
Yeah.
to him and look all right, you're just as good as he is. But over time, singers and bands didn't show up, and I would just start singing. And it just kind of naturally took its place of me doing guitar and
Singing.
singing. And then I went into some Kiss tribute bands and was Paul Stanley in some of them, and just learned a lot of things. Cut my teeth in Strutter and Kiss Army and
Wow. Wow.
doing
See,
that.
that's a lot of fun. Like, I'm a big fan, believe it or not, and supporter of tribute bands. A lot of people laugh at that, but I say, first of all, if you can get a gig doing that, why not? And I have a friend that actually plays in a tribute band. He was telling me, believe it or not, the tribute bands have a little easier time making money than so-called, original bands, just because people know all those songs.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's a far greater income level on the tribute stuff. When I was in Hairball for 20 years, we made a lot of money.
Wow, wow.
Right now, there isn't a lot of money coming in.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I don't do it for the money.
I hear you.
I would do this for free. You know what I mean? Because I love what I do and it's what I've always done. I don't know anything else.
Yeah.
So I don't really judge my success by what's coming in or what's going out.
Oh,
I
sure.
just I
Success
wake
is
up and see what the day has and I go on that adventure.
Sure, I can understand. I mean, success means different things to different people. But I mean, just a little bit you told me about your story today. You got quite the impressive resume, you know, and I think too, playing different instruments. You're one guy who could easily play in a Kiss tribute band. You could play maybe a Gene Simmons or a Paul Stanley because you got
And
to
I
like, sing
and
and
I
play
have.
guitar and bass and all that.
I have. I've been Gene, I've been Paul, I've been Ace. I like to say the demon, the star child,
Yeah,
or the
yeah,
spaceman because you can't really be Gene, but you can try to be the demon. You know
yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah,
That's where a lot of the tribute band people go wrong is they try to be the person rather than the character. And if any tribute band guys are out there, you should pay attention to that right there because instead of trying to be Paul Stanley, try to be the star child, you
yeah.
know?
I mean, people laugh at that, you know, and I myself was guilty when I first heard Gene and Paul talking about like how there's a little controversy because like Eric Singer wears Peter Chris's makeup. But if you really think about it as a Kiss fan, I mean, you know, I realize like Eric Carr wore makeup too, but I think when most people think of the, you know, Kiss makeup, they think of, you know, the classic four, you know?
Yeah. Well, a lot of people get personal
Yeah,
in
yeah,
an industry that has a really long word like business. And I think somebody complaining about Eric Singer wearing the Catman
yeah,
makeup or Tommy Thayer wearing the Spaceman, you ask them, okay, well, who's your favorite football team? Green Bay Packers? Oh, well, they're not as good anymore. They're just a tribute to Brett Favre.
yeah,
They're just
yeah,
a
yeah,
tribute. I look at it as if the others can't participate or are unwilling to
yeah.
participate in it, let someone else do it. There's been who knows how many different Supermans and
Oh,
Batmans,
sure, sure.
you
I
know.
mean,
And if people are taking it personal, I think they should go and probably see someone about
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, when I go to concert, you know what? I want to be entertained, and I'm not thinking so much about who's behind the makeup. I mean, I would say this. I think it would be a bigger issue if they were lying about it and trying to make us think it was Peter Chris. That
Oh,
would be
yeah,
totally different.
absolutely. They weren't trying to pull the wool over their eyes.
Yeah,
And here's one thing that's really cool about Tommy Thayer is that when you close your eyes at a concert,
yeah,
it really sounds like Ace is playing. And I don't take that as a bad thing because I
sure.
want to hear the songs the way they were when I grew up. I want to hear the and Vinnie Vincent, as wonderful as he is, he never. If you turned on a song in the middle of a song that was just at the solo, you
Yeah,
wouldn't know what song it was until
no,
they started singing again.
yeah,
And it's
yeah,
like, I find that every piece of the song is a piece of the music. And when someone goes, well, he's the lead guitar player, he should do what he wants. Well, maybe in your world, but go see an orchestra doing Mozart
yeah,
or Bach and have the lead cellist just start going off because he's like, well, I'm the lead guy now. It's like, no, play the fucking song the way it was played, the way people want to hear it, or get the fuck out of here. It's kind of how
yeah.
I looked at it. And those two guys play the songs the way they were recorded and the way they were laid down. It's like, well, do whatever you want on songs that you're going to write or did write, but the songs that have been written and that are in stone from Alive and Alive 2, you better play those pretty close to the way they were, or a lot of super fans like myself will get weird about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling old myself here, but as we sit here talking, you know, Kiss Alive celebrating 50 years this year, and I've heard, I don't have a release date yet, but I've heard they're going to come out by before the end of the year with a super Kiss Alive box set.
Hmm.
Yeah,
That would be pretty cool, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. So we'll have to check that out. Now, you were talking too, but in fact, you're a multi-instrumentalist, and it sounds like you have same stories a lot of people I talk to, which is like you said, started out playing other instruments, maybe not necessarily with frontman or the lead singer, but you also eventually get to the point where you want to write your own songs. And I'd imagine when you're writing your own songs, kind of you already have a feel for how the song should sound or how it sounds in your head, if you know what I mean. And
Yeah.
so probably it's natural progression. Hey, I'm going to sing my own songs as opposed to having somebody else sing them, right?
Well, I just sing them because I'm the only one here.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
You know,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
the only one in the room when I'm writing them. And I don't sit down and think I should write a song about X.
yeah, yeah.
The song is just in my head. If I'm out on my motorcycle, or if I'm in a deer stand or walking through the woods, I'll hear the tune in my head, and then I just have to try to remember it to get home, and try to lay it down on something, and then I have to learn the song that's in my head. And that's what I did with a lot of these songs. Mainly as the producer, the hardest thing to do was to get what's in my head to come out of the speakers.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, Bad Friends and Good Times. That's like, I'm really loving that song right now.
Well,
It
that's a
kind of
party song.
a party song. You know, it also kind of makes me think like when you're growing up and your folks tell you, oh, you know, don't hang out with those guys. They're influencing you to do the wrong thing and stuff. Oh, we're
Right.
having a good
Yeah,
time, Mom. Yeah.
that's exactly how it went, you know. I was the kid who got on the school bus, and you got Johnny the trombone player up front, and he's all quiet, but then you got the four kids on the back seats of the bus
Yeah.
smoking cigarettes. There's a boom box, there's chicks with their shirt open, and you're like, I'm going to the back.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's true when my mom did say you have some bad friends, and I did say, but I'm having good times.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was never in trouble, but I was with the company that was,
You're living like the rock and roll lifestyle. Yeah, I guess from day one on. That's really probably what.
from yeah, absolutely from day one.
Yeah.
That's why it's real for me. I didn't just one day out of college think I'm going to join a band. I was 3 years old when I knew what I wanted to do.
Wow. Yeah. You're living the dream, right? And again, to
So
me,
I'm
that's
living
what's
someone's dream.
yeah, yeah, exactly. You know, I mean, that's success means different things. I mean, me in my own personal life, I would much, which I kind of can say is my experience right now. I'd much rather have a job I enjoy going to than like a job. Man, I have to get up and go there again and see those jerks. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, you never want to spend your life making somebody else rich,
yeah, 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 yeah,
and if you are, make sure that you're having the best day of your life, because it can end at any second.
yeah.
And that's how I look at it. I wake up, I go on my daily adventure of whatever that is, and at the end of the day I go, I made it. Thank you, Universal Creator, for today's experience, and
Yeah, yeah,
get me through the night. And tomorrow
yeah,
we'll do another one, and let's
yeah,
play in
yeah.
the mud, dance in the rain, baby.
So, as far as you know, the next year ahead, with the Dead Cowboys, I was curious. Are you already thinking about the next album? Or are you gonna promote this one a little more?
Well, we're gonna keep promoting this one. The next album's already done.
I love it.
Uh, so that one's done. I'm actually writing for the third album right now. So we're gonna push this one as much as we can, and then probably dump the new one in March, probably, and then
Oh,
try to get out there and do some shows with some cool rock bands.
I'm glad to have you back, Bob. And before I let you go, I always love to ask people, especially in this case, because I love the name of the band. How did you come up with the name?
Well, it came up because when I had mentioned before 2005, uh, me and the guitar player for Hairball were driving around, and we were doing these shows, and I was telling him that I'd had this idea since I was a kid to kind of make a heavy metal hee-haw.
Wow.
And if I could put Kiss and Waylon Jennings and Johnny Cash and Jerry Reed into the same type of thing, that would be kind of fun. And we were talking about it, and I said, if you could have the band look like, they came out of an old Western, and it's kind of eerie, and they
Wow.
they look like zombies, but not really zombies, and just played a bunch of cool tunes. It'd be cool if they looked like Dead Cowboys. And he said, oh man, that's the name right there, and it was
There you
like,
go.
okay.
Okay.
So we
Wow.
we put together the Dead Cowboys as a cover band, which just played on Thursday nights at the local bar because we were having great success with the other group. And we were doing covers with the theme that I'm using now as I write the songs. But the theme was, if it has anything to do with saddles, horses, guns, jail, a Western theme, let's put that into the set. So
Wow. I
we
love
had,
it. I love it, man.
Yeah, we opened with Back in the Saddle, and then we went into, the cowboy song by Thin Lizzy. We'd do Run to the Hills, because you listen to Run to the Hills, that's a heavy Western
Oh,
tune.
sure, sure.
You
Hey,
know,
Bob, I'm gonna
what?
have to let you. I'm gonna have to thank you, let you go because we're about ready to get cut off. But thanks for doing this, man. I'm gonna post this in a little bit, and I promise to have you back. Okay.
Yeah, do the deadcowboysband.com and find Bobby Jensen on Facebook, and I'll get you there.
Take care, my friend. Great talking to you. Bye, bye,
Right
Bob.
on. Yep.